Welcome to Newfound Reality episode 3. I have already received so much backlash for my 2 episodes. You can imagine how even my family would feel about me talking about, these issues about trying to legalize sex work or alternative lifestyles and different sexualities. Again, 2000 years of history, 2000 years of conditioning to make us believe some things. It's deeply embedded into us, deeply, just like nationalism, just like believing that by loving your country, you're doing a good thing to it, not realizing that your country is a construct just like mine is. Look at the map of Africa. Every country has been divided with a perfect line with rulers rather than, actual borders. We live in this construct, and everything that we know is a construct or a lie in a different way. Why I decided to start with the first thing to be the legalization of sex work is the fact that in order for us to speak about these higher levels of understanding, we need to get rid of the first carnal desire. Once we are able to satisfy our basic needs and basic instincts, we can talk about other problems that are real problems. Again, you ask yourself, if sex work is available to you, would you actually use it? It's still up to you. Most of us would not actually go to see a doctor and ask to do this. But what if you are struggling with your sexuality? What if you're struggling with actually finding a partner? At this point, there are countless men sitting at home pretty much contemplating suicide because they cannot find a partner. They have been cheated on, betrayed, and used and abused by their partners. The same thing goes for women. They're begging for connection, begging. Sex is connection. It doesn't have to be physical. What do you mean by sex work? I said in my second video that, for example, in South Korea, we have these hug rooms or kiss rooms or whatever they are called, in which you can go in and actually just be hugged. Where can you buy a hug? When you need a hug, how can you find it? Not all of us are happy enough to live with our own families or to have friends. A lot of us are just destitute. People who have survived wars or who have lived with families that were unable to provide love. We basically just want that. Of course, a hug can lead to sex, but it's up to you to decide what kind of love you need. We get hung up on all these details about, things that are kind of, I would say, carnal pleasure. We think that there's a way to live or there's a way to, be. But truly, we don't really know what the proper way is to be or what the proper way is to live. Everything that we know is a lie or a construct. Even our marriage unit. Do you think 2000 years ago the marriage was the same as it is today, or the family was the same as it is today? Things change and things evolve. We are now at a very different stage of our development socially than we have ever been before, and that's a great thing. This is why it's important to discuss some of these new ideas. To push things further, I would like to address the second amendment, the second commandment of the New World Order, which is something that I'm not pushing forward to. It's not me who is creating the New World Order. this is something that is being pushed upon us, as you can see from the media. Look at the movies, look at the music, look at what our leaders are doing. Don't come after me and tell me what are you talking about. Look around you and realize that this is the agenda that has been pushed through the media and through our education system as well. We are moving towards a new way of life, new way of having families, new way of interacting, making love, having children. This has to be, regulated, just like Jesus did 2,000 years ago when he said, okay, we can no longer have sex with everyone. Everybody's going to marry one person, and you're going to be able to be with that one person, and that one child is going to be yours. We agreed upon it. And now we are realizing that that's not working out, because that's creating so much misery. 82% of single mothers. Are all fathers that bad? Why are they being pushed away? The system is not working for us. Seriously, I mean, whether you want to see it or you don't want to see it, it's up to you. That's fine. I have lived through such horrible experiences that basically I have no choice but to speak about it. Again, I'm saying the same thing. One of the reasons why I would like to talk about the second thing, which is kind of the legalization or institutionalization or something like that. Please read in the comment what needs to happen, of the family and the marriage unit. What happens is that when people decide to get married, let's say if you buy a car and you want to buy a car, you have to license your car, you have to get a registration, you have to go to an office and say, I'm buying this car, I'm going to put it on the road, and every year you have to do the same thing, make sure your car is working well, you have a license, you have a registration, and somebody is actually accountable for your car. Who is accountable for your marriage? No one. When you get married at a city hall or at a church or a mosque or whatever, you're gone. After that, anybody can go get married. And anybody can go and have a child. And that's fine. We have a freedom to do that. But the questions we should be asking ourselves, okay, who are we marrying and why are we marrying them and what are we going to do with our lives? Nobody knows that, of course. Everything changes. But if you are a person who struggles with, let's say, addictions or mental problems, physical problems, or your partner is in the same situation, you two are going to have problems securing a home for yourself, securing income for you and the child that, let's say, you want to have. I don't have a problem with people getting married. Again, this is not me that I'm talking about here. I'm simply channeling these messages that are basically all around us. Again, it's up to you whether you want to decide this or not, or accept this. So let's say if this couple wants to have children, nobody's going to stop them. You cannot stop a person from having a child. But what we can do is provide more guidance. Let's say if you want to get married, you go get a license for your marriage, of course, and you have a course. Here's a little video to watch about getting married. This is what happens in marriage. This is the first stage. This is the second stage. You want to have a child? Sure. I think you should get some sort of not a license, but some sort of, approval, a blessing. If you want to have a child, okay, you want to have a child, good. Where is this child going to live? What are you going to do with this child? Are you able to support yourself and this child? Okay, we're going to help you. We're going to help you find a job. We're going to help you find a housing. We're going to do that, but you have to do some work. Not just get high and get pregnant. There's nothing wrong with that. We're human beings. We can do whatever we want. I'm not here to infringe on our freedoms. My God, I can imagine I'm gonna receive so much trouble because of this, but I'm really begging you to use your common sense, and before you start judging me. Again, I have no problems with anything. I am a human being just like you are having the same experience, but from what I can observe, it is my duty to speak on. So you need to be able to, let's say, have an access to a counselor. Every year you should check in with your counselor. How's your marriage going on? How's your relationship? Have you been dating your spouse? Have you taken your spouse out for a date? Are you helping each other around the house? Talk. What's the point of having counseling after the relationship starts falling apart? Having guidance along the way would actually go a long way. Because what is going to happen in the future, we are going to be forced to do that. You're going to have to apply for a license to get married. You're going to have to apply for a license to have a child. And children are going to be pre-selected. They're going to look at our DNA, and they're going to be able to genetically modify children for certain roles. If we need more teachers, or if we need more plumbers. Imagine applying to raise a teacher or a plumber. These are some really difficult concepts that I'm throwing out here, and of course, I'm ahead by a century, for it. But you know what? This is happening sooner than you think. The third amendment to this New World Manifesto is abolishment of private property, which according to the world leaders, this is going to happen by 2030. So in about 10 years, they would like to introduce this concept of no private property. You will own nothing and you will be happy, and that's also not a bad idea too, right? As I'm speaking to you, I'm in the cafeteria of the hospital. In front of the hospital, there's a gentleman who is half naked, walking around, harassing people at the parking lot, going home after they've been here visiting their loved ones in the hospital. We have a lot of problems. Addictions everywhere. We have a lot of problems. A lot. Addictions, violence, and this is a peaceful province in Canada. You can imagine how it is in war-torn countries. If you think you have integrity and your body belongs to you, or your life belongs to you, you are very foolish, because these things can be taken away from you very, 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 very quickly. I'm fully aware of this, unfortunately. So what we need to do, and I always joke, we need to basically institutionalize marriage and family. Family needs support. If we are going to have two individuals raise children that are supposed to be the future of this country or any country, then these people need support. We need to support families financially, also spiritually, psychologically, so they can produce and raise children that can actually continue this society. Instead, we have these draconian measures in which social workers get involved when family starts falling apart. They remove children from homes, they create such troubles. It's enough for a woman to say that she does not feel comfortable with a man, and the man will be removed from home. This is really serious stuff. This is really serious stuff. The social engineering that is being going on for quite a while now is madness, pure madness. Again, we can turn our blind eye to it, and I do so as well. until it came to me, until my own family had to be broken apart, and I had to be removed from my own home, and I was left without children, without anything. This is such a difficult thing to endure, and a lot of people go through it. So like I said, 82% of men are not with their children. This is systematic. This is more than that. In the end, our children are not going to belong to us. They are going to be property of the government. In kibbutz in Israel, they already experimented with this, and it actually worked really well. So basically, when you have a child, your child is put into this communal home, and you go home, and whenever you have the time, you come back, visit your children, go play with them, bring them back, pick them up, drop them off. They're not your children. Your wife is not your wife. Your life is not your life also. The abolishment of private property does not only apply to objects and things, but also to your own life. Very, very, very difficult ideas that I am introducing here. But the reality is going to be like that. Whether you, again, want to consider it or not, that's up to you. Please don't come after me. I'm channeling messages that I see around me, that I have spoken about with a lot of people who completely agree with me. And this is the reality. In order for us to sort of transition into this new world, these are the things that do have to happen. The first thing, like I said, is the legalization of sex work. We need to find a way to provide outlets to people who are unable to provide them for themselves. And again, whether that is just sexual needs, or those are romantic needs or emotional needs. Rent a friend is also something that can be used and established by our governments, by our society. This is very important. This is very important. The second thing that I've been talking about today is the kind of holistic approach towards family unit, in which we really need to find a way to help our families thrive, from the beginning to the end. There needs to be more input, more intrusive input into our family. I remember what Pierre Trudeau said, that the state has no business in your bedroom, and I agree with that. Of course, what happens in my bedroom should be only my business. But what if what happens in my bedroom is abusive towards my partner or towards my children? We have to think about these things as well. Not every situation is black and white. There needs to be an oversight. There needs to be some kind of engagement into that family life before things happen, because when things go downhill, it's too late. Then social workers, police, and lawyers get involved, and everything goes to hell. If we want to have a healthy family, it needs to be cherished from the beginning. You should be mandated to get counseling throughout your relationship. You should be mandated to get classes in how to raise your children, how to be a good partner as well. Most of us don't know. Once you get married, you start living with a person that you don't know how to live with. Somebody should teach you how to date. Somebody should teach you about your partner's development, about your development. We are not taught these basic skills, relationship skills, family raising skills. So in such way, this is what's going to happen. Again, like whether the fatherhood will be abolished, or whether we're going to have rotational fathers. And these are only jokes.
May I have your attention, please? Visiting hours are over on all floors.
Right.
With all visitors, kindly leave the hospital. Visiting hours are over on all floors. With all visitors, kindly leave the hospital. Thank you and have a good evening.
That's what she said. So there you go. Please use your judgment and keep your mind open. let's see what the future brings. I love you all. See you in the next video.